Good morning. How are you, all of you?
Fine, sir.
Good.
Fine, sir.
Fine. Is there any
Okay.
questions regarding the previous sessions?
No, sir.
So almost clear, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So now we are going to know about the ethics part. These days, all these days, we have discussed crime related and some of the precautions needs to be taken as a victim of the attack. And today we are going to learn some of the law related to the cyber crimes. That is the Indian IT Act 2000 and amendments. IT is related to the Information Technology Act. All these days, the punishment or the law was defined for the offenses like physical offenses like theft, robberies, etc. and so on, and murders. All those things law was exist, but the people who are using the electronic devices to commit the crime, there was no law earlier to this act. So the when the crime happening, crime rate it was increased with the help of technology. Then the people started asking about the law of cyber. If a person commit the offense over the internet, so what is the punishment needs to be given? So this IT Act 2000 and several amendments are added depending on the crime rate and the type of the crime it is happening. Previously, if you abuse somebody over the Facebook or social media, there was no law. Now it is offense. Now it is offense. If you do cyber stacking previous to the IT Act, there was no law. Nobody care about the those kind of activities. But today it is an offense. Today it is an offense. So, before knowing the law and the punishment and the sections which exist with this IT Indian Act 2000, let us understand some of the crimes, especially the terrorism happened using the electronic device. Let us look into three such kind of incidents and come back to discuss this IT Act. The one such crime that is BPO cyber crime. BPO cyber crime, a person who don't have credentials to access the US bank, still he was compromised and he was gained the access of the customer. He stolen some of the money from the bank accounts. So it is comes under the it is against the data protection. So he will be caught and jailed. Punishment has given for this kind of cases. So the recently reported case of a bank fraud in Pune, in which some ex-employees of BPO arm of Emphasis Limited, M-Source, defrauded US customers of Citibank to the tune of rupees 1.5 crores has raised concerns of many kinds, including the role of data protection. The second, this type of the crime is unauthorized access, because there is no authorized or credentials with him to access the other's bank account. Unauthorizedly he gained the access of that such account. He entered into the electronic account space of the customer. Therefore it is comes under the cyber crimes, because he has used the electronic devices to gain the access of the customer accounts. This is a one incident. It happened with the electronic device. The one more incident. So always I used to tell you about. So keep your softwares updated. Keep it is protected with high sensitive password. Why? The reason is, see the how social engineering attack has happened in this case. You, when you look into the statement given here, you will come to know how the social engineering attack has happened. Along with that, how the hackers are escalated your laptop device, his victim's laptop device, to achieve this blast and all in the Ahmedabad. So Haywood was the victim computer. Actually, Haywood was not a attacker or the terror, but his laptop was compromised, and used it for the terrorism in India. So before the 5 minutes, 5 minutes before the blast, an emails sent to national TV channels warning about blast in Ahmedabad. How it was happened? Because that person email was compromised by the hackers. Hackers utilized that email to send the blast information to the national TV. The email is traced to Kenneth Haywood's computer, who stayed at Gunina apartment in Navi Mumbai. So he stayed in Mumbai. His computer was compromised. His email account was compromised. Through his email, the hacker sent a email to the national TV before the bomb blast. Haywood claimed that his computer was hacked. A technician associated with VSNL had asked him not to change the password of his Wi-Fi wireless internet network. Here the social engineering attack has happened. So from the VSNL office, some of the in the name of defaming, this one, defacing the employee who is working in VSNL. So his he is the hacker, or the person who is carrying this illegal activity. He called to the Haywood such that he was given a statement such that don't change his password. He was suggested don't change him to change the password. Why? Because he is going to attack his computer with that old compromised password. So Haywood's laptop and computer was then sent to the forensic science laboratory at Kalina. So these kind of attacks, you also responsible for protecting the country. So as I said, security is individual responsibility. Always the forensic department or always the defense department, they will not come and rescue your laptops or the devices, because you are the person, you are owning the electronic devices for your own purpose. Then you are required to safeguard your electronic device. You also a part of a security. Then and then frequently you keep on changing the passwords. So Wi-Fi system used to hack Haywood's account to send the mail. So here there is a mixture of different kind of the hacking happens here. Social engineering happened, not to change the password. Then the email hijacking happened. Then through that email, the message has sent to the national TV channels. So these are all things happening. So usually doing all such kind of the activities, usually the hackers targets for the individual system many a times because individuals are not caring about much about the security. They are not taking much care about to improve the security level of the personal devices. So they will look for the personal devices to do to carry out this kind of the activity. This is one of the major issues in the cyber crime. Then another case is parliament attack case. Here also laptop was used to gain the access of the ID card, fake ID card of the government of India. See, the laptop seized from the gunned down terrorist contained several evidences of terrorist motives. When the defense personnel caught the terrorist, they came to know that they have the laptop. In that laptop, all the information related to the terrorist motives, they found that. The sticker of the Ministry of Home. See, nowadays, if you Google it, many emblem, a logo of many companies you are going to get. So similarly, they use the social search engines and the Ministry of Home sticker they made on the laptop and pasted on their ambassador card to gain entry into the Parliament House. How they are impersonating, how they are got an idea. So because usually entering into the Parliament, they notice that ambassador card with sticker, nobody is questioning them. So through such kind of observation, initial information gathering, they made this attack, Parliament attack. So what they have done, the sticker, the Ministry of Home sticker, they pasted on to the ambassador car to gain the physical entry point of the Parliament House, and they also showcase the fake ID card of the parliamentar, those who has. So it is all about to how they obtain the ID card and all means obviously there is a person, the weak-minded person or money motive person inside the within the premises of parliament. From that person only they are able to gain the obtain the ID card information, etc. and so on. See how information gathering is most important to carry out any attacks, and it becomes a cyber crime and all, right? So this is another major cyber crime happen so in India. Yeah, so according to the cyber crime, there is a Indian website called as cyber Indian website called as ncrb.gov.in. You can note down ncrb.gov.in. So if I use this one, ncrb.gov.in. So it reports the cyber crime happening in India. Every 3 months report they are going to produce. So one of the thing I have taken from this website is during the period of 2017 to 19, how many many cyber crime happened. The crimes which are registered under the police stations and the person arrested under the IT Act, some list it is given here, cyber crime state-wise between the year 2017 to 19. So it is one of the thing which I highlighted is Karnataka state. In the Karnataka state itself, during the 2017, around 3,174 cases was happened. Since the Karnataka is the IT hub, most of the criminal activities also is more here. Then 2018 around the crime rate was increased from 3,000 to 5,800 change. See, and 2019 it is almost double of the previous 2 years. 12,000 cases was registered. See how much the cyber crime rates are increasing year to year. You can also look at the Maharashtra cases. So 3,604 in 2017, because Maharashtra, Mumbai is the finance city, share city. So there is a chance of high rate of. But compared to the Mumbai, Karnataka is the highest crime happened in the Karnataka, not only in Bangalore, throughout the Karnataka cases. If you look at the website called as National Crime Records Bureau, this is providing different kinds of crime activity. You just go with the year selection, select the table, title of the crime, which crime you want to look, what is the report of it. For example, human trafficking and child trafficking. So we are discussing as of now crime against woman. So here we are discussing about the cyber crime. So I have to go with the cyber crime option in this crime survey, crime against foreigners, crime against cyber crimes. So when I go with cyber crimes, search the cyber crime which happened during the year 2020, it is going to be reported here. No record found means still the database is not updated, because now it is running 2021 fifth month. The database is not yet updated by the NCRB. So now go with check with the another year 2019. See, some of the cybercrime happen. Cybercrime state-wise, this list it is displayed in the presentation. So cybercrime, many things. Cybercrime motives are the police disposal of crime cases. If you explore that, you will come to know the very importance of the cyber security personnel. What is the openings? What is the opportunity are there exist in this cybercrime? Because crime rate is high, the people providing the solutions is very low. So in this direction you are going to get a job, more job openings are available in cyber security. If you are becoming expert, not know just knowing the content is not at all useful. You are required to practice makes man's perfect. You do some certification courses, then if the opportunities open up for you, just going instead of knowing the content. So if you which are the court disposal of cybercrime cases, for example, so the how which are the cases solved in the court, how many pending are there. Stacy, tampering computer source documents, how many cases registered? 23. Computer related offense 1784. Ransomware attacks 188. See, identity theft 384. So violation of privacy 28. Cheating by personation by using computer resource 302. Cyber terrorism, recently there is no report of that. So publication or transmission of obscene sexually explicit act in electronic form 286 cases. See, all the crimes happening with the electronic device, it is treated as cybercrime. Unauthorized access or attempt to access to protected system, two incident was happened, it's a pending cases. See, attempt to commit offenses, other sections of IT Act. So all such information you are going to obtain from the website called as NCRB. Clear? Is it clear or not? Am I audible?
Sir.
Similarly, we can go with the cyber crime motive. Which are the motives are there with the cyber crime in the city wise, Karnataka, Ahmedabad, etc. and so. So in city wise, if you go with Bangalore, frauds are 10,350 to highest cases registered during the 2019. Highest cases. Okay. See, this is the statistical information given by the NCRB website. So the importance now as a student or as an person of an India, how much security is vulnerable. So the what level of security is there in the India at the individual level, you need to think of, because many a times all so awareness is very low, little awareness, ignorance is high, negligence is high. In such cases these kind of attacks will happen. Okay, we must be very careful whenever we are using the electronic devices. Fine. After knowing the some of the incidents and reporting some statistical report, one more report. It is between the 2006 to 2009. Similar report is listed here. Tampering computer source document, hacking with computer systems, loss or damage to computer resource, etc. And so on. Some of the statistics is given here. This is the old data. This is the latest one. Just now, what you have observed in the NCRB website. Now the slides contents are taken from this slideshare.net, Yogendra Va, IT Act, PPT. You can even refer that slide also. So now let us look and understand the IT Act. What is the in and out of the IT? So which are the sections are applied for the cyber crimes, which etc. and so on. So birth of cyber law, when exactly the cyber law came into existence. So the United Nations General Assembly have adopted the model law on electronic commerce on 30th January 1997. Before coming into the India, the cyber law came into existence during the year 1997, the early stage of 1997 in United Nations. It is referred to as the UNCITRAL model law on e-commerce. Enacted on 17th May 2000 in India. Approximately 21 years is over for 17th May. Now 28th May this year, 2021. So almost 21 years is over to form that IT Act 2000. In India, it's a 12th nation in the world to adopt cyber law. India passed the Information Technology Act 2000 on 17th October 2000. So it is almost officially it came into existence of Cyber IT Act 2000 in the year 2000 October time. From May to October, several several discussions was happened to implement the cyber law. Additional amended on 27th October, after 9 years of the gap of cyber years. Amendment Act is known as the IT Act 2008. And what was the objective of the IT Act 2000 is to provide legal recognition for transaction. So previously, the properties like land, gold, physical land, physical gold, it was treated as assets. But nowadays, the electronic records intellectual property rights, trades, designs, all treated as an assets today nowadays. So digital currency, all is treated as an asset. To protect these digital assets, so the cyber law came into existence. To provide legal recognition for transactions, it is happening over the internet, carried out by means of electronic data interchange and other means of electronic communication, commonly referred to as electronic commerce, e-commerce. Usually nowadays so we are using e-commerce extensively. More than 60% of our buying habits is changed from physical buying to the electronic buying, involving the use of alternatives to paper-based methods of communication and storage of information. Previously, to hand over a cash, we are using the check leaves, demand drafts. Nowadays, we are using IMPS service, NEFT service, RTGS service, then for phone pay, Google Pay, so different kinds of payment transact gateways are available. Through that we are using. So it is equivalent to the physical transactions. So to protect that, IT Act came into existence to facilitate electronic filing of documents with the government agencies, to amend the Indian Penal Code, the Indian Evidence Act 1872, the Bankers Book Evidence Act according to that 1891, and the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. So by taking into the consideration of all this amendment IPC codes, IPC Indian Evidence IEA, Bankers BBEA, and the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934. According to this, so after studying all those things, amendments and discussions, several discussions was happened to frame this IT Act 2000 to protect what transaction based using the electronic devices. So which for which are the things this IT Act is not applicable? So a negotiable instrument other than a check, as defined in section 13 of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Please explore this. What is this Negotiable Instrument Act 1881? Section 13 in the Negotiable Instruments Act means a promissory note, bill of exchange. Promissory note, usually in the earlier days we used to use the small stamp, 1 rupee stamp, revenue stamp, to affix on borrow and lending the money, means exchanging the hands between two parties. So it's a proof of exchange. They are providing a promissory notes, bill of exchange, like if you pay a money you will get a bill of a product, right? Invoice you are going to get. Check payable either to order or to a bearer. So this is nothing but it is comes under the section 13 of the Negotiable Instrument Act 1881. Okay. Promissory note, bill of exchange or check payable either to order or to a bearer. So a promissory note, a bill of exchange or check is payable to order which is expressed to be so payable. So for that kind of transactions, to obtain a proof of that transaction, there was a exchange of money with invoice bills, money with promissory notes, money with money with a payable order, PO, purchase orders or PO orders, right? This is comes under the section 13, is not applicable in the IT Act because it is not happening with computer, right, or electronic device. A power of attorney as defined in section 1A of the powers of attorney. So power of attorney is nothing but so temporarily to exchanging the hand of the ownership of a property to the someone for time being. So it is termed to be a power of attorney. So this is also not comes under the IT Act 2000. A trust as defined in section 3 of the Indian Trust Act. Trust is it is non-explainable content. Trust. So do you have a trust on me? You are going to tell yes or no, right? But express the trust. How to express the trust? Getting my point? Thus, that kind of Indian Trust Act, uh, it was defined on 1882, is not applicable in IT Act 2000. A will, as defined in class, a will. Usually, the elder grandfather is going to write a will to the grandson to transfer his entire asset to him. So again, so will, it is not, it will is defined in class H of section 2 of the Indian Succession Act 1925, including any other testamentary disposition. So is not comes under the applicable. Explore all these individual statement, you will come to know exactly what is that. Any contract for the sale or conveyance of immovable property or any interest in such property is not comes under the IT Act. Any such class of documents or transactions as may be noticed by the central government. So not only the few, there are many are there. Few which is not possible to express in terms of in terms of the physical assets. Such kind of those things are not applicable under IT Act 2000. So if you want to know more about this, just you have a copy of it and paste it in the Google. You are going to know about little more thing about that Act 1925. What is that? As per Section 2H of Indian Succession Act, uh, provides will means the legal declaration of the intention of a person with respect to his property, which he desires to take effect after his death. Will has been defined in corpus juris section so and so. So many sections are available. If you look into that, you will understand what is will and all. Okay, this is about the Indian Act 2000 we are discussing here. Which are the terminologies usually the Indian Act 2000 that amendment book it has? Uh, Adjudicating officer is a one terminology which is using, means deciding officer. He has a authorized to tell yes or no about a particular the section, and he is a deciding authority. Digital signature is another term which is used under the IT Act. Affixing digital signature, appropriate government, certifying authority, cyber appellate tribunal, CAT, electronic forum, secure system, electronic gazette. These are the some of the terminologies frequently used in IT Act 2000. Here it is listed here. What is the job of educating officer? So you can explore here, go and Google, because Google is everything for us. Educating officer provides for the educating mechanism for the contravention of the provisions of the act. It has been given powers to educate upon any allegations of contraventions of the provision of the act or rules or the regulation made. It is similar to the Supreme Court judge kind of thing. So for any offenses, for any allegations, any sections clarity, if you want to know about it, you can directly so approach that educating officer to understand what that act provides and all. So such kind of things those are. These are the some of the term: digital signature, affixing appropriate government, certifying authority, cyber appellate tribunal. So what is the job of this cyber appellate tribunal? Within the scheme of IT Act under Section 62, CAT is the final fact finding authority. So this authority, maybe one person or multiple person in that authority, they are finally concluding the any offenses made by the criminals. The Act provides a second forum of appeal in the form of the High Court to any person aggrieved by any decision of the order of the cyber appellate. So after discussion with the cyber, if the person who has made the crime, if he want to go to the higher of means next level of court is High Court after the CAT. Okay, that's the cyber appellate tribunal is a decision making committee for final declaration of that offense or allegation. So what is the impact of IT Act on banking sector is pressure from competition and regulatory environment. Obviously, when the previously the banks are working on only the physical mode, to withdraw to transfer money, you have to go to the bank physically where it is situated, and when you are entering into the bank, you are asking the help for the banker to provide the channel, and you have to require to fill up, and you need to be stand in the queue to submit the channel. You have to wait for some time to get the money, and you are going to, or you are going to submit the instrumental like check, DD, etc. and so on. So but nowadays the once the bank started moving, when they start using the IT infrastructure, most of the old age banks, like they are not switching, migrating from the old system to new system. Most of the banks are closed, new banks are coming up, so competition obviously it is raised when the banks are moving from old system to new system. So which bank was moved from the old system to new system quickly, that bank is the winner, and they are going to make a profit in this financial world. So threat of competition and retaining customer base is the impact. IT used for communication, connectivity, and business process re-engineering. So business process re-engineering is, as I said, migration. If they are not doing migration, so for example, you can think of your village cooperative society bank. Still, they don't use the NEFT facility. They don't use the NEFT facility. If they don't use the NEFT facility, then the customer is struggling. Then customer is going to open one more account which has a NEFT facility bank. So there is that previous cooperative bank is losing that customer base. So there is a threat is there for the business point of view. Uh, Similarly, improve efficiency of money, capital, and foreign exchange markets. So if the bank is moving towards the IT sector, obviously the funds, so NRIs are there. NRIs, the people who is non-resident Indians, NRIs are there in US, Australia, Europe, wherever they are working. They want to transfer the money to the parents, those who are staying in India. So if the people who is staying in India in the village or the town, in that town the banks, if they don't support the transaction, international transactional kind of thing, then the people are struggling to get the money from outside the country. So that's why the bank needs to be migrated to and they need to be improve the infrastructural of IT infrastructure, to what for, to ease of transaction of capital, money exchange, foreign exchanges, and share trading, etc. and so on. So this leads to a convergence of computer and communication technology to enable the banking association. So the computer and communication technology makes the banks improvement, the transaction and gaining also is very high. They are also making lot of profits using the computers and communication technology. This is the impact on the banking sector. And obviously there is a threat when they are switching from the physical mode to the online mode. Obviously there is a lot of threat, because as we use watch in the very first day of the discussion of this cyber security and cyber crime, we seen the threat map, right? uh, you can observe this one threat map. So several attacks is going, you can observe the threat map. So you can observe the some of the financial threats are there. It is initiating the people who are keep on targeting from one country to the another country, throughout the globe. See, they are utilizing here in between, they are utilizing some of the country, the path they have selected, from US to the Ukraine to the India to the some New Zealand. So how the attacks is going. If you look into the any one of the attack, usually it is a financial based attacks. In India, cyber law, Indian culture, and government's role. Any criminal activity that uses a computer either as an instrumentality, target, or a means for perpetuating further crimes comes within the ambit of cybercrime. So the term cybercrime refers that the computer is involved, electronic device is involved to commit a crime. It comes under the cybercrime. So, what is the need of cybercrime law? It is an intangible and provides an extreme mobility events taking place on the internet are not happening in the locations where participants or servers are physically located, but in cyberspace. Why crime law is needed? To protect the intangible assets. Intangible is nothing but non-visible, like intellectual property rights, trademarks, industrial designs, electronically recorded, e-kata. All such kind of the things are present in the internet space or cyberspace. To protect them, cyber law is required. Cyberspace offers great economy efficiency. So, as I said, when the banks moving from the old system to the new IT infrastructure system, they started making more and more even more and more profits, as well as they improves the people how they the way of transaction, how they are made that is easy for the people who is using their services, right? Cyberspace offers great economic efficiency. Billions of dollars worth of software can be traded over the internet without the need for any government licenses, shipping and handling charges, and without paying any customs duty. So by just nowadays cloud services are there. Nowadays you are accessing the softwares, they are resided in the cloud space, where cloud is resided in the US or cloud is resided in the UK. You are accessing and downloading the software, which software you needed for your purpose of use. See, there is no government here involved in here. Only the service provider and service user is involved. So it makes cyberspace makes many economic beneficiary for both seller and the buyer. Cyberspace has complete disrespect for national boundaries. A person in India could break into a bank's electronic vault hosted on a computer in another country. So there is a possibility of the crimes also happen, because when you open up the gates of the boundary of a countries, then people started peeping into the others country financial conditions. So they are searching for the gaining, what kind of gain they will get from the other countries, etc., and so on. So within minutes they are going to do all these kind of activity. So he would need what is the requirement, minimum requirement, either laptop or the desktop and a cell phone. With these two devices, 2 to 3 devices, is able to successfully gain of access of the other countries financial related banks also. So cyberspace is absolutely open to participation by all. Everyone from kid 1 year age of kid 1 to the 101 year of the old age people also, they can look into the internet world. The cyber world allows everyone to participate here. So in that case obviously so there is a possibility of social engineering attack, there is a possibility of worm attack, trojan attacks, virus attacks, malware attacks, hardware attacks, careware attacks, ransomware attacks, because the cyberspace is now open up to everyone. Everyone can participate in that cyberspace. So crime activity also will be more and more. Okay, this is about the IT Act, some of the basic information of IT Act 2000. Now we are going to look into this, which are the different kinds, and so which are the sections applicable to the cyber crime. So already we have seen, again it is repeated one for you. Already I have discussed about all the different terminologies which is listed here. The types of crimes, cyber crimes, crime against property, crime against person, crime against the government, crime against the public, crime against the national level. Right, different cyber types of crimes are there. So the cyber terrorism, it is on the national level. Cyber pornography, it is targeting to the teenagers by showcasing the sexual kind of ads, sexual kinds of images, photos, videos, to mislead the motive of the viewers of that web pages, etc., and so on. Defamation, cyber stacking, sale of illegal articles like trafficking, narcotics, weapons, wildlife, etc., and so on. Online gambling is also a crime. IPR crimes like software piracy, creating the duplicate softwares, like so if the new movie is released onto the Amazon Prime or the Netflix, that is going to create a one more copy of the movie and distributing among several viewers. Copyright infringement, trademark violations, theft of computer source code, etc., comes under the intellectual property crimes. Email spoofing, forgery, phishing, credit card frauds, all these terminology already I discussed about them in the earlier slides. These are the some of types of cyber crimes. So if you look into in detail about the cybercrime classification: against individual harassments via emails, cyber stalking, disseminations, etc., and so on. So this is already I discussed, just I skipped this slide. Yeah, you go through once after sharing this slide. So now we are going to look into most important thing in this content is cyber crime provisions under IT Act 2000. Which are the sections? Which section is applicable for which kind of the crime activity? Section 65. Please remember, this is very important slides. Some of the questions may be asked from these for your first internal test, especially the IT Act, which section acts for what it is going to tell. Section 65 for tampering with computer source documents. Suppose if you hand over your laptop or mobile phone to your friend or your nearest one, dearest one, if they do without your permission and permission, if they delete some of the content, or if they destroy the content of the phone physically or logically, if they do, it comes under the section 65. You can shoot a case against them to get the compensation of it. So section 66, hacking with computer systems data alteration, changing the data which is there in your system without permission. That is hacking with computer system data alteration. It is comes under the section 66. Section 67, publishing absence information which is non-relevant with respect to the age related. Adult only needs to be watched. So but if you are doing something else, some wrong things and publishing over the internet, it will comes under the section 67. In section 70, unauthorized access to the protected system without permission, you are breaking through the system, you are hacking, you are cracking the password, and you are entering, gaining access to the system. It comes under the section 70. It's section 72, breach of confidentiality and privacy of a person. Comes under the offense section 72. Section 73 is publishing false digital signature certificate to deface the other party over the internet. 65, 66, 67, 70, 72, 73. So I'll take little 10 more extra minutes to finish this one, because already we exceeded the limit of the number of hours for a module. So I'll take 10 more minutes. Is it okay? Audience, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So amendment of Act IT Act 2000, criminal provisions are section 66. Majorly section 66 provision has been significantly changed. Under IT Act 2008, all the acts referred under section 43. It is difficult to remember sections, section numbers, etc. But you need to be understand at least which section you so general terminal. If you are able to understand, remember some of the section heads, that is enough for this discussion. So section 66, if they are done dishonestly or fraudulent, many cyber crimes on which there were no express provision made in the IT Act 2000 are included in the IT Act 2000, which was not there exist previously with the 2000. In the 2008, they were included such kind of these things. Section 66A. What is the section 66? Hacking with computer system data alteration. What section 66A? Sending of offensive or false messages. It's a new provision. New provision is added for sending of offensive or false messages. Just threatening other party. Hey, today, there is no internal test today. Actually, but today test is there. But false messages, if you are sending to the other person to mislead him, so it will be it is considered to be a crime under the section heading 66A. It is also known as cyber stacking. 66A also termed to be a cyber stacking, telling something which is not actual. It is cyber stacking. Covers sending of menacing, offensive or false messages via SMS, email, MMS. This is so you are used the device technology, that is short message sending email, multimedia messages, MMS. If you do any such kind of the transactions using electronic device, that terms to be comes under the section 66A. The punishment for this kind of offense is imprisonment up to 3 years, and the fine will be also there. Imprisonment up to 3 years. 3 years punishment will be there. So they will decide the severity of the message it impacted onto a other person. And the section 66B, this is dishonesty receiving stolen computer resource or communication device. It's a new promise. So if you lost a device, if that lost device is selling by someone, and someone is going to buy, again he will be under trouble, and that will be treated under the section 60. If you are able to find that device, it is your device. When you lost that device, you made some marking on that. When you are able to find that one, you can shoot a case against that person who brought that machine from the thief, right? So it is comes under the 66B provision. You can shoot the case against the such person. It also covers use of stolen computers, mobile phones, SIM cards, etc. The punishment for this section 66B is up to 3 years of imprisonment. You please observe that up to is used. It might be a 6 months of punishment, it might be a 1 day of punishment, or it might be a 3 years of punishment. Up to is used. It is not exactly 3 years. It's up to. Or fine up to rupees 1 lakh, or both. So both is applicable, or any one. They may ask you to pay the fine, fine for the against of that offense, or they may the cyber authority may give the punishment for you for paying a fine as well as the imprisonment. In section 66C, identity theft, that is new provision, fraudulently or dishonestly using someone else's electronic signature, password, or any other unique identification feature, it comes under, if you are able to found it, that is comes under the section 66C. Punishment is again up to the 3 years and fine up to the rupee 1 lakh for the section 66C also. Then section 66E, so violation of privacy, that is new provision added in 2008 amendment, popularly known as voyeurism. So one of the example is given, Pune spy cam incident, where a 58-year-old man was arrested for installing spy cameras in his house to snoop on his young lady tenants. See, so this is the one of the crime. It was happened to monitor such activities. It covers acts like hiding cameras in changing rooms, hotel rooms, etc. Punishment is imprisonment up to 3 years. Again, the observable thing is here again electronic device CC camera is used. Here CC camera is a camera. It made it for a purpose of the spying such activities within a tenant room. So again, it is a cyber crime kind of activity. It comes under the section 66E. Imprisonment up to 3 years and fine up to 2 lakh, or sometimes both severity of the offense. Some maybe possibly 3 years and fine also they have to pay. And section 66F, cyber terrorism, it was included in 2008. Whoever uses cyberspace with intent to threaten the unity community, means here we can say religion related information throwing, like Muslim is that, Christian is that, Hindu is that, such kind of if you are trying to divide the unity of a community or the national integrity, that which comes under this Cyber Terrorism Act, section 66F. Security or sovereignty of India are to strike terror in the people. So punishment, which usually lifetime punishment. It is usually lifetime. Lifetime is more than 12 years of imprisonment is termed to be as a lifetime punishment. So another 2 acts are there. With this we will stop here. Cyber pornography, that is section 67. So publishing and transmitting obscene material in electronic form, either it may be image form, or it may be audio form, or it may be a video form. So punishment is in the first instance imprisonment up to 3 years and fine up to rupees 5 lakh. subsequently again, if second time if you do the same thing, same kind of crime against, again you will be caught in the second time up to 5 years of imprisonment, fine up to the rupees 10 lakhs. Sometimes both, it depends on the judgment. Section 67A, publishing or transmitting sexually explicit acts in the electronic form. Similarly with Section 292 IPC. Section 292 IPC, which will do the same thing, but that is in physical form. This is in electronic form. So first instance is imprisonment up to 5 years, so 5 years, or up to 7 years, fine up to rupees 10 lakh. This is about the cyber pornography, that is section 67 and 67A. And section 67B, new provision, creating, collecting, browsing, downloading, etc. of child pornography. See, very, very important section this one. Please be noted. Creating by yourself, collecting, searching with the search engines if they provide such information for child pornography. Browsing also, it is offense. Please be remember, while browsing something which it is related to child pornography, downloading is also an offense. See, it comes under section 67B. So be careful while browsing the content of these kind. Punishment, depending on the age of the person who has committed a crime of doing those things. First instance, imprisonment up to 5 years. Second instance onwards up to 7 years. There is a possibility of fine up to rupees 10 lakh also. This is section 67B. And the 67C is preservation of information by intermediaries. Like intermediaries shall preserve and retain such information. For example, if you are taking the SIM card from BSNL or Tata Indicom, so they will expect you to submit your ID cards like Aadhaar, address proof, age proof, identity card, and the thumb impression. So they should require to use that for issuing your SIM card. They should not keep that document, intermediary document, for to make use them for other purpose of usage. If they keep, that comes under the section 67C. So preservation of information by intermediaries, that is again a offense. That is again an offense. This is about the IT Act 2000. This is a huge document. It's available. If you want to know much about if you want to interested and want to explore more about the Amendment Act 2000 and 2008, it is available in the internet. Lot of sources are available. Also, it is also available in government website. Also, you can refer and know more about it. Means whatever you do negatively with the bad motive of thing, obviously will be under trouble. Okay. Then finally we reach the end of the discussion of module 1. So in this first internal test, the case study is cyber terrorism in India. The case study, you need to be noted that cyber terrorism in India. Okay, so for reference of slides, you can refer slideplayer.com. This reference details, you can refer these two different slides I have prepared. I have taken some of the information from them also, and I have searched for Google search engine for some of the images which is used here in the PPT. If any questions are there from the beginning to the last end, you can ask me now. What and all we discussed, our conclusion of discussion is that we discussed the what is cybercrime and laws, what is cybercrime, definition and origins of the words, what is cybercrime and information security, who are all the cyber criminals. We also seen the classification of cyber crimes, how criminal plan the attack, like 3 stages of attack: information gathering, scanning, scanning and analyzing, and so attacking, and finally wipe out the tracing of the attacking. Right. So how criminal plan the attacks, cyber cafe and cyber crimes, and botnets. What is botnets? Attack vector, and finally we discuss with Indian IT Act 2000 and amendments. If any doubts are there, if any questions are there, you can ask me now. By that time, I'll take the attendance. Today there is no quiz since the time is already up. Only I will take the attendance. If any questions are there, you can ask me.